Okay, let's be honest. As riders, most of us have heard of the half halt and we've heard how important it is and how much we should use it. And yet it can feel a little bit, I don't know, strange because it feels like all you're doing is half halting and you're kind of like, hey, am I becoming the handbrake here? What's going on? Well, I want to address this half halt situation and how I personally think they should be sprinkled like confetti all over your arena. Okay, let's dive into this one. Hey there, and welcome to the Daily Strides podcast. My name is Lorna Leeson. I'm an equestrian trainer and coach, and for the past 10 years, I've been working with riders online from all over the world to help them have better conversations with their horses. And I think one of the biggest parts of that is understanding and riding the half halt. Okay, so what is the half halt? We have heard of it. We've all heard of it. Like, hands up, who's not heard of the half halt? I'd say we won't get too many hands there. But like, it is really, really important. And I think as riders, we have been using it. We've all been using it regularly, but you know, kind of to varying levels of success, if you want, okay? It can be easy to say that your horse is just not all that responsive and leave it there. Like, my horse doesn't really listen to the half halt, so, don't think I find it that interesting or useful in my riding. But I think if that's the case, and if that's the attitude you have, or if your horse is just not that interested and you're like, how do I make this horse become more interested in the half halt? Well, I think you need to begin tweaking your approach a little bit so that you can get a better result. Now, I think that as riders, when we actually commit to sprinkling half halts all over the arena, when working with your horse, okay? And that's with groundwork, lunging, and when riding, you are going to see a difference. It is going to transform your riding. And I know you're thinking, okay, I know about the riding, but like groundwork and lunging, hardly. But you know, it's so important. In today's episode, I literally want to sell you onto the idea of learning and practicing and incorporating these into your day-to-day sessions with your horse, okay? And then I tell you now, the results, they'll just speak for themselves. Okay, so why are we sprinkling these half halts all over the arena? Well, I think when we begin to understand and recognize the power of the tool when we're training our horses, you're going to actually begin to see the benefits of doing this. And first and foremost, I kind of think that the half halt can be used for 3 different reasons. Now, this is obviously on a very basic, like let's break it right down to the basics, but 3 different reasons. The first would be to get your horse's attention, okay? So many times we will apply 1 or 2 half halts. Now, we're applying them to maybe rebalance or to, I don't know, steady things or whatever, okay? We have like our own reason for applying the half halt, but meanwhile our horse wasn't listening to us. So by the time we've like applied the half, we're like, this thing doesn't work. This is useless. Like, this is a load of rubbish, this half halt jazz. The horse is like, oh, okay, I must have missed that clearly. She stopped talking. Right, I'll carry on. I'll keep doing what I was doing, okay? So when we're thinking about the half halt to get your attention, well, not your attention, your horse's attention, it's a little bit like saying, ding dong. It's like the intercom system. You know, I spend a lot of time in airports. When you're in the airports and it's like, diddly-ding, or whatever, the ding dong, they all have their own ding dongs, okay? But the ding dong system, okay, where like the ding dong comes on and then you have the announcement. Now, if in the airports, and again, I've good experience of this, if they were just to like suddenly come over the intercom and say whatever it is they had to say, like just announce their announcement, I bet you most of us would miss it, okay? It's the ding-dong that gets our attention, so then we can listen to the announcement, okay? So you have to begin applying the same system to your horse when you're riding and when you're working on the ground and when you're lunging, okay? Really, really important. And by that whole bringing your horse's attention back to you, the chances are that he is actually going to begin becoming more responsive to your aids, for example, or to whatever question comes next, because essentially that's what your aids are. Your aids are like you asking your horse a question, and then you're expecting a certain response from your horse regarding that question. But before you ask the question, hit the ding dong, okay? Get the attention. And then you can hack on and ask the question, okay? And again, this can be used both riding, lunging, and groundwork. Really, really important. Okay, so you want to sprinkle it everywhere, and it can be used just leading your horse across the paddock with a head collar and a lead rope. It can be used out on the trail if you're trail riding with your horse. It can be used anywhere, okay? The round pen, it makes no odds, makes no difference. Even in the stable, okay? It makes no difference. You can begin to use this system. Now, the second reason that we use the half halts, and this is why when I really say like sprinkle like confetti, I'm talking confetti here, like all over the place. If there was a little map afterwards that of your ride and every spot you actually asked or I suppose applied a half halt, we would want it just spots all over the map, okay? Like we'd want it everywhere, because when you're making a correction, this is how you can kind of say to your horse, that's not quite it, buddy. I was looking for something slightly different there, totally different there. And I think that when you're doing that, this is how we're training our horses, because if we're riding helicopter riders, I call them, if we're riding with this whole system that you're holding it all together. I see loads of riders do this. It's like total control freaks. Like a helicopter parent. Well, these are helicopter riders. And they're in the saddle and they are trying to control everything. Every single movement, okay? They are controlling it. And all they're doing is teaching their horse to basically switch off. The horse is like, you know what? You've got you then, so you do that. And the horse just kind of stops listening. We rather want to, as trainers, begin to encourage our horse to become part of the whole process. Remember, it's a team sport, okay? So your horse is going to have his responsibilities and you'll have your responsibilities. And then together, they're working together to create the team, okay? So this is where the correction comes in. You just make the correction and then you let him carry on to make a mistake again, and then you make another correction, and so on and so forth, okay? This is how you are going to train your horse as to what expectations you have of him, okay? When you're maybe using a particular combination of aids together. And if he's not doing what you want him to do, you correct and you carry on. And the half halt is usually either the correction or it's almost like the thing that balances the correction, okay? So sometimes you might have to come in with an inside leg, for example, okay? But the half halt, by using it to get your horse's attention, to make the correction, balance it, and then let your horse head on again, okay? So that's really important as well. I think that when you apply the half halt correctly, it's going to help you to point out any mistakes that your horse has made. It'll like make it very obvious. Like, oh, you see, buddy, this was this way. I rather want it done that way, okay? Help him to correct the mistake. Now, obviously, again, there will be other aids that you'll use, but you want, and of course, the other aids are going to offer clarity on the situation. But again, when you're sprinkling the half halts all over the arena, it's going to become so much easier for you to use it here to correct your horse. And that brings me to the third reason. It's usually to rebalance and to reconnect, okay? And rebalancing can be, there might be a total like, hey, this is totally gone wonky, we need to make a plan here. Or it can be just a little kind of a misstep. And very often as riders, we begin to actually feel these missteps almost before they happen. And we'll be able to then use the half halt to correct it before the movement is potentially lost, okay? So if we think about relaxation, when we lose relaxation, kind of everything else just follows suit very quickly down the line. But if you can then use your half halt, so yeah, the relaxation, it was a little, it was like touch and go there for a moment, but you know what? We got it back on track, and look at this, we were still able to maintain whatever it was we're doing, and we're going to carry on. So that's really, really important as well when we're thinking about the half halt and how we can use it, okay? So again, you can use it to bring your horse's attention back to you, okay? And then you can rebalance the horse, or you can make the correction and then rebalance the horse so as the actual quality of the movement itself is not lost. And initially when you're riding, you are going to spend quite a bit of time doing this process. And again, that's why it'll be like confetti all over the arena, okay? But you will spend quite a bit of time, and then over time, when you're doing this, your horse will begin to take responsibility, and you'll have to make less and less and less, fewer and fewer and fewer corrections to your horse and what he's doing, because he is going to take responsibility. Now, the half halt on the ground. ground. I want to just chat quickly about it before I leave you here today, okay? It is exactly as it is in the saddle, okay? In that you want to really and truly begin to use your combination of aids to either get your horse's attention, to either make a correction, or to rebalance, okay, your horse. So you can use the half halt, as I said, on the ground, just like you use it in the saddle. Now, I do think initially having either a bridle or a head collar, a halter and a lead rope, something like that on is going to be important. Later, you'll actually probably be able to refine it to the point where it's just your body. You can use your body on the ground with your horse, but for the most part, we would have something on the horse's head. And then from kind of that perspective, it almost works well to transfer this then across to the saddle, if that makes sense. So when you're able to kind of use a combination of your aids, including rein aids while on the ground, it helps to kind of your horse to understand then what's going on in the saddle, okay? So there can be, just like with everything with horses, a little bit of a temptation to overuse your rein aids, okay, your hand aids when we're on the ground, just like when we ride, okay? We need to wait. Like we need to, you see, there's always this temptation to use what you can see first. And when we ride, if you glance down, what aids can you see? Your hands. When you're on the ground and you're working with your horse, what aids can you see? Your hands, okay? So it is important that before you just pull back, like, okay, you're also going to start to activate your weight aids just like you would in the saddle. And I do think that this is important. What you can do is kind of, if you stand up, wherever you are now, obviously it's safe to do so. Don't be driving the car and stand up, hey. But if you can stand up wherever you are now, and then begin to weight, weight, one of your legs more intentionally than the other. Okay, so you weight. Can you see how you can begin to almost like redistribute your weight throughout your body? And in doing so, you can begin to engage your core as well, okay? And then in everyday life, you can use the half halt. This is something you can use all the time. You can practice it. This whole like using this engagement of the core to redistribute your weight over or between your legs, and then you'll be able to almost like weight the leg that you want, okay? And you can practice it. You don't have to just be with your horse, I suppose is what I'm telling you. You can begin to practice this everywhere so that by the time you get back to your horse, you can become a little bit more of a master. And again, initially your horse won't look for that. Your horse won't know to look for that. But by you then using your hand, your voice, everything else, all your other aids that you have, you can begin to transfer that across to your horse. Okay, if you would like more info on this, I'm going to first of all suggest the Groundwork for Riding program. You can find that over at stridesforsuccess.com/groundwork. And then you can also get a free training on the half halt over at stridesforsuccess.com/halt. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Have a super day. Keep well, and I'll chat to you soon. Be good. Bye.